We're back, and this week, Paul can't make it. So, in his place, we have a more than worthy replacement. The Chief, former champion, Dan Cox. Dan, great to have you back, buddy. How's it going?
Yeah, not bad, mate. You all right?
I'm really good, yeah. Excited to have you on. It's been a while. We've missed your rants.
Yeah, mate. It's been a year or so. Oh, mate, I've got a year's worth to go through. It's going to be a long old show.
a year's to of rants. Fantastic.
Yeah. Going to start with January 2022 and get up to present day.
Just work our way forward. How's your season going, Dan?
I'll just say to you beforehand, it's all right. I'm 189th. And again, if I'd have done that Madison, the 36-point captaincy in October, day after my birthday, so that would have been that. Do you know what I mean? I'd have been a point behind Parrin and I'd be 82nd. So I'd be up another 100 places. But that's all right. Like 189th is all right, isn't it? But I'm out of contention. You know, you and Paul could win it. I suppose, especially Paul, greedy in having two teams in the top 20. That's just unbelievable. That's no need for that, is there? Do you know what I mean? So he could actually win it. So it's good to be up there and having a respectable season, not having a shocker like, you know, some people have. So it's going all right, but it's a bit annoying not to be actually trying to win any money or placing. But yeah, it's all right. It's all right.
You get a lot of love in the chat, Dan. Brownie Scarf F just say, evening lads, has Dan got Love Island on record? He's asking that. Is it really the final? Or are you joking?
Yeah, tonight,
it is the final.
Yeah.
So you're doing it instead of the the final.
Yeah, I'll watch that after this, or depend what because that's on until 10:35.
No spoilers in the chat. Dan loves fantasy football, but he loves Love Island even more.
That's why Paul's not here.
It probably is. He's done me with that, haven't he?
Or he'd done something. He'd tweeted something about the government or something, and we've taken him off here.
He's showing solidarity, is he, or something? Something along those lines.
So I was going to show solidarity as well, but you said if I do the show, it's a tenner, and I thought, cost of living crisis.
Cost of living crisis.
Got to make money when you can.
I cannot wait for Dan's rant later. Any good moves you've done this year? Done any moves that you thought, oh yes, they were the ones?
Well, I'm glad we got 50 transfers because we must have used about 30 taken out and putting in Man City players.
What a nightmare.
I put Enzo Fernandez in a few weeks ago and he's ticked along nicely. He's like another little Rodri in but cheaper, so he's done all right. I put Watkins in yesterday.
Nice.
Yeah, it was okay. He could have probably scored a couple more, something like that. Nothing spectacular. I just can't nail the captains, really. I keep getting the captains wrong, which don't help.
That's the thing, like Haaland recently and like Rashford, I think last week, Rashford yesterday.
Rashford 2 Sundays in a row for 2 points. And you think,
blanks.
Because I see people saying, should I take risks, do this, do that, and the other? I think, well, if we'd captain Rashford and we'd captain Gabriel as in, one of the Arsenal players, you got a clean sheet or passing, you'd have been up just them small gains all the time. And like Niall Murphy, he captained Kane on Saturday.
He caught me out.
It was on Haaland, and some people went for Salah, which was really unlucky. And I did think Kane, because Spurs have been a bit terrible, haven't they, as you know, sort of things. So I thought, not. And something like that. And he's 15 points up on me. I had Kane, but captain Haaland, so he's doubled that. So just picking the right captain, isn't it? It's the main thing.
It is. Niall's in the chat. He says, evening lads, good to see Dan back in the hot seat. And I've noticed, Niall, that I think we're spot on the same amount of points now, which is good. Niall shows his team as well, which is like, you think, oh yeah, you can see his team, but then it's this whole double bluff second guess, thing in it as well. So it's very clever. But well played, Niall. And Niall went with Kane. If I would have to objectively pick the captain on Saturday, I would have probably gone for Kane as well. But it's just a nagging doubt of Spurs not playing well, and you never know what Haaland do you. But there we go. Very well played all. Stephen Murray Bruce says, man like Dan, absolute pleasure seeing you again, Chief. So you're getting a lot of love in the chat. Johnny White, feel like I'm on the Twilight Zone having Dan back on. Let's take a look.
We should sort some more of these out, mate. We should. It's just
timings. His timings are just.
I've been on for a year.
Has it been that long? A year?
Well, maybe I might have done one at the end or something. But it was like the January time, wasn't it? Because I changed jobs slightly. Slight role, job change. Yeah. So that's why I get up early. And when it was like Sunday nights, 10:30, we'd finish the pod about 10:30. Then we'd have a little chat for a little while. And it's like, oh my God, I'm so tired. Got to be up at like 5 and stuff like that. So we'll have to sort something out. So I do miss it, to be honest, mate. It's like a bit of therapy, isn't it?
It is exactly that. You're right. Let's look at the top 1K ownership that weekend, and it's changed quite a lot, it's fair to say. We've got William Saliba up the top, the highest owned player in the top 1K at 96%, Harry Kane 95%, Marcus Rashford, disappointing Marcus Rashford 87%, Bukayo Saka 80%, Ivan Toney 77%, Kieran Trippier 75%. That was a rise and a half, Dan. Have you did you have his percent ownership before yesterday?
Yeah, so Sunday morning he was 28.8, so he's gone up 45%.
That is massive, and obviously the captaincy on Friday is probably a big part of that. Would you say?
Yeah, that's the main one. And I know he got an assist yesterday, and I think he'd have kept the clean sheet. But yeah, Friday's the main one. But 75% owned now.
Massive.
Is that going to go up on Friday? If you were going to make that move, you'd have made that move, wouldn't you, for Friday? So whether, I don't know, 25%. Well, Almiron was only in. I think he was only in like 2% of teams, because when he scored yesterday, I thought, oh God, he'll be in a load of teams, but he weren't. So I thought that was a bit of relief. But yeah, I'm guessing Trippier's the main one, or those ones are skipping, or I don't know what for Friday now.
Zinchenko 71, David Raya 55. Now the one for me, Erling Haaland, has gone down to 54%, which is absolutely insane. What's your thoughts around that, Dan?
Yeah, mad. So yeah, he was in 93.7 yesterday morning. So yeah, down 40%.
Wow.
So yeah, but like I said, that's a 5-for-1 winner. I think if you're going from Man City to Villa, or was it Newcastle even as well? I can't quite remember them all, but it was a good 5-for-1. And did they play Liverpool, didn't they?
They do. They're home to Liverpool.
So I think it's worth doing if you've got transfers. Like, even look at mine. I've got 14 transfers, and how many game weeks left is there? Sort of thing. It's 13 or 14 or something. And yeah, I made a few moves this sort of week just to try to get some gains like that. I know Watkins, he's not prolific sort of thing. Well, he's been ticking along, but I just thought with 5 games, surely he's going to outscore Haaland. I'll bring him back in. It'll be 2 moves, but surely he's going to get 20. Well, he's well on the way to that already, isn't he? But I was thinking if he can get 20, 25 points, then that'll be worth doing. Because most of the transfers I've made, like you, Paul, spoke about, used to sort of tell you 15, 20 points. Most of the transfers I seem to make get me about 4 points or something. So anything's better than nothing. So
no, that's interesting. And Watkins has gone up to 32%, so he's gone up massively as well, haven't he? What was his ownership yesterday morning?
2% yesterday morning.
Unbelievable. I did Haaland to Trippier yesterday. I haven't quite got the players of formation to go to Watkins. I do think Watkins is good. He does have a lot of shots on target, Watkins, as well, doesn't he? Yeah.
Tier 2 yesterday, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think he got 3 shots on target.
Yeah, and I couldn't quite get to him yesterday, so I'm still a bit undecided on what to do. But I think what I'm going to do. So I've got a few more left. I'm just not sure whether to go Haaland back against Liverpool, because Liverpool defensively are just a shambles, aren't they, all the time? And all right, I know they've kept five clean sheets in the last 6, but you just got to watch him. I can't see him stopping Haaland. You get to see the lineup, which was part of the reasoning. But at the moment, I brought in Toney last week. But at the moment, I'm thinking of bringing Haaland back in for Toney. Toney does play Brighton, but that's the last of his 5th games, and I just think the upside of that. But there's games left, there's weeks left before that happens. That's my current thinking with that.
Yeah, I've still got Toney. I've got Toney, Watkins, and Kane now. Yeah. So yeah, I don't think I'll bring Haaland back for that. I'll risk it with those 3, I think, for the time being. Yep,
that's fair. Salah down to 45. I mean, what a fall from grace from last week. So he basically, I wouldn't say destroyed my season. That's obviously a bit, a bit much. But I went down from 15th to 42nd last week by not having Salah. I thought if I can just get away with this, even 1 goal, I would have thought, you know what, I'll take that. But to do what he did, somebody captained him. But yeah, -1 on the weekend, unbelievable. When he got that penalty, I was thinking, oh, here we go. But what a swing! Is he a takeout now?
I'm keeping him in.
Oh, really? Okay.
I think, yeah.
It's transfer count as well, I suppose, isn't it? Because for all these players we're taking out, like Haaland, Salah, wherever else, we know we're going to want to back for the end. So, are we at a stage of the season now, you think, where in terms of transfers, if you said you got 14, but if you've got between 10, 12, 14, do you really now need to start thinking about your long-term players who you're going to want back in, just leaving them in, or?
Yeah, because I think I'm going to bring Dunk in on Wednesday.
Okay.
For Gabriel.
Yeah.
I think I'm just going to make that move. But then I was thinking Dunk, I'll just leave him until the end now. He's
exactly
decent enough price. He's cheaper than Gabriel, so it'll save me a bit of money. if I go back to Haaland and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Dunk, I'll just put him in. But I'm thinking of mine 14 now. I think that's just about right now. Like
Yeah.
I know these 5-for-1s, and I think, yeah, I'll have Watkins and stuff
Yeah.
like that. But yeah, I don't even that. I sort of think like I might get to the last day and still have a transfer or two. I just had to see how these fixtures fall. With there's always quite a bit of madness in there towards the end. So I don't know. People say to me they've got more than 20, this, that, and the other. And I'm thinking, cool, I'd be struggling to use them, I think. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I'm quite happy with what I have where I am. So that'll do me.
Yeah, I think it's likely that I think Man City, Man United, Brighton, and maybe another team are gonna have a few double game weeks out there, like sort of right at the end of the season in like the last game week but one and things. So there will be opportunity there to pile in. But the thing is, with those games, you always know there's like Champions League stuff and finals and things. You never quite know who's going to play. Especially Man City. I mean, you don't know who's going to play anyway, do you? But yeah, I've really enjoyed this season with the transfers. Have you enjoyed it more, Dan, or with the overhauls and stuff?
I was trying to think. Obviously, they put that one overhaul in, didn't they, at the World Cup?
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think, was that because of World Cup? Like, what are they going to do next year? I'm trying to get some info about that Billy or something. Do you know what I mean? I presume, like, I think the Sky game is going ahead next year, but I'm thinking
That'll be amazing.
I wonder what they're doing next season. Then, do you know what I mean? Are they going to go back to having one after 4 weeks, then another one in February, March, and go back to 40 transfers? Or I haven't minded this. It's been difficult with the World Cup, hasn't it? But I don't know, 50. I still think 50's. I think I'd have preferred 40 transfers and one overhaul still, really. But yeah, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what they do for next season. And I say, fingers crossed, there is a game, and because it is popular amongst us, sort of thing. So
I think the one overhaul
hopefully
thing for me has been the best part of it, because it's not like having the two. And the next one would be around now, right? So it means we would all go into this last phase with basically all the same 11. Whereas now there's such a variety of teams in kind of a transition now, moving out of Arsenal potentially. We're moving into Newcastle or Man United. Some are halfway through, some are all the way through. People like you and me have jumped in earlier on Enzo Fernandez and stuff. So you really kind of feel the benefit of that, don't you? So
that's the problem with the overhaul, isn't it? Because everyone has the same team for the first 4 weeks, and then now everyone would have the same team.
The exact same one, wouldn't they?
2,
exactly.
3, 4 weeks,
exactly.
No one moves, do they? Because everyone's got the same team, and suddenly then you start. So it's a bit frustrating. So yeah,
I mean, you just got to look at these ownerships. There's 2 in the 90s, 2 in the 80s, and a couple in the 70s. But we know very quickly, Rashford now, just as an example, doesn't like there are teams now that have 2-0, I think, over Rashford. Saka, people will be moving off Arsenal soon, I think. Ivan Toney, people will move off him in a few weeks. All the Arsenal players, all the Brentford players and stuff. Haaland down to 54. There's such a variety of teams around at the moment. I think it just makes the game really, really good. Looking at the average transfers remaining, so quite significant moves, and there's been some quite significant moves this week as well, we think, so this should go down again. But the top 10 went down from 15.3 to 12.9. That was a massive, massive fall there. The top 100 down from 15.6 to 13.4. Top 1,000, 15.2 to 14.1. Top 5,000, 15.3 to 14.2. But some big, big falls there, Dan. And I used one this weekend. I know some have used 2, 3, maybe even 4, just to try and move to the next phase of their teams. You're on, you're kind of just above average, I think, and you said you're happy with your count and stuff.
Yeah, happy with mine. So yeah, 14. I'll do that dunk to Gabriel to dunk on Wednesday, and I think that's it. Like I'll do Trippier back to Haaland and forget what the other one was, Watkins to Rodri, something like that. I'll probably go back to that. So, but yeah, I'll wait for more fixtures to come in. But yeah, nothing else really planned at the moment. And then, attack the last few weeks, stuff like that, and hopefully get into the top 100.
Superb. Yeah. Just looking at kind of matches left, I think I've seen that. I think some teams like Arsenal, Man City, I think those kind of teams have played 26. They've only got 12 left. I think Brighton have only played, like 23 or 24. So they've got
I think they've got the most left.
A fair few left. So yeah, we touched on Brighton assets last week, didn't we? But yeah, it's going to be interesting running there in terms of the transfers. Let's have a look at the matches this weekend then. So no football this week, no Premier League football this week anyway. We touched on it earlier. Friday the 17th, Forest home to Newcastle. I think some people may have brought in players like Brennan Johnson, who they may captain in this. Obviously, Trippier 75%. Any other options for this one, Dan?
Not really. I think Trippier. I did have Pope before. I had Shah, Almiron. I know he scored at the weekend, but then I think I forget the stats now. But he got something like 8 goals, didn't he, in the first 16 games or something like that, wasn't it? Or I forget. And then you think in the last 10 games he scored like once or something like that. I know he did score at the weekend, but no, I think Trippier for me. I couldn't go back to Brennan Johnson after the start of the season having him and. That was a bit frustrating, but I think like even Liam Dorian, I think had him, didn't he, a couple of goals, and he captained him or something like that. And it's like, cool, yeah. And I think he wasn't even on my radar really. I've just been a bit put off by Forest.
On the Saturday, we have 4 lineups we see at 3:00. A Saturday team. We have Wolves and Leeds, Southampton, Spurs, Brentford, Leicester, Villa, Bournemouth, and then Chelsea and Everton. Quite interesting for captaincy here, because obviously that Villa against Bournemouth game could be tempting for Watkins owners. Spurs away to Saints, probably Kane, I guess, would be the most popular. What's your thinking here, Dan?
Yeah.
Even Tony home to Leicester, actually.
Yeah. Well, I say I've got those 3, Kane, Tony, and Watkins. So, yeah, I don't know. You'd say Kane, wouldn't you, away to Southampton? But he got his couple of goals last week, didn't he? So I don't know really. Do I think does that mean he won't do anything this week? Southampton. They got a point. Did they get a point last weekend?
They drew with they beat Leicester weekend before 1-0, but they drew with Man United, didn't they? Because obviously United had the red card.
Yeah, I don't know. But between those 3, I got Watkins, Kane, and got what the other one is now.
Tony.
Watkins, Kane, and Tony. Yeah, one of them. I don't. I'll probably put a poll on Twitter and go with that. Really, like what Paul does. Yeah. That is hard to. But hopefully they'll all score a couple of goals and they'll be flying.
I think I'm going to go for. I think I'm going for Kane. Enzo Fernandez at home to Everton should like smash passing and stuff again, but you never know. He's been awesome, haven't he? He had a
nice assist at the weekend.
It was. I think he had a 10 point on the weekend, a 7 the weekend before, and a 5 before. So yeah, and he's only 27% owned at the moment. I can see him becoming like mega popular soon, sort of like 80+%, because he's such like after the break, if we're all going to want maybe Kane, Haaland and Salah, all 3 of them or 2 of the 3, potentially even Van Dijk and people like that, we're going to have to find these cheaper players, and he's a 1.4 saving on Rodri. So yeah. For kind of
be interesting to see what he is priced at next season as well. It'll be surely be about the same as Rodri next season, only 9 mil, something like that. If not, it'd be a steal. But yeah, he's a type player I love.
Oh, same. You just stick him in, forget about him. He's going to score 4 points minimum, but I don't think he's even scored 4. I think he scored higher than that every game, haven't he? And then Arsenal and Palace on Sunday, the only game on Sunday. So this is the penultimate game of Arsenal's really good run. They do play Leeds after the break at home, which is really good. In terms of captaincy, Dan, I think it's probably fair to say that Saka is probably their best player and probably has the most explosive potential. But against Palace, would you be tempted by Zinchenko or Gabriel or something like that? Or
well, I've only got Saliba, Gabriel, and Zinchenko at the minute, and I'll get rid of Gabriel. So yeah, I'll captain Zinchenko. Don't think I've had Saka all season.
Really?
If I haven't had him for long, or Martinelli, because I do quite like the Arsenal, and I don't want to jinx him. I ain't had him. Yeah. So as they keep scoring, you think, oh God, I should put him in, but I don't want to put him in because then they ain't going to win the league. So I ain't had him. So I'm surprised I'm as high as I am without having Martinelli or Saka.
Martinelli was a gutter because it kind of looked like he'd gone off the boil. He got rested or dropped in that one game, and all of a sudden he found himself number 9 up front, didn't he? So those who held on to him, that's unbelievable.
He didn't start against Villa, did he? And I think some people, because that was the early kickoff when people got rid, and then he came on, didn't he? And got that last minute sort of goal, didn't he? And and
then he's played number 9 ever since, I think, and he's been sensational. So well played.
Great, isn't he?
Yeah, but after that Leeds game on the 1st, some teams have actually got 3 for 0s. Man United have a 3 for 0, and even then their games, they're away to Liverpool, which is going to be a tough game, away to West Ham. So there are teams who will have 4 for 1s over there, potentially even 5 for 1s and things. So definitely one to look after that.
Arsenal to a Man U player looks
right
on there. Done it a 4 for 1 when they got Liverpool away. Yeah, Newcastle, Brentford, Everton, and Forest for United. So Yeah, why not?
Very, very nice run of games there. Yeah, that's definitely one I'm looking at. Just on Man United, Dan, who would be your kind of order of preference for their players? You know, if you were saying, right, I want 3 Man United, who would your 3 be?
So I presume everyone's got sort of Rashford. I'd have to look into it, to be honest. I had Shaw before, and he
Mm,
was frustrating. Like they'd keep letting in one goal and
yeah.
this, that, and the other. Like, I don't quite know if the passing numbers is there for the defence, is it? So I'm not sure. I'd have to look at it. Casemiro's now got a 4-match ban, and so he's out. So I don't know really. I think I'd probably take a little punt on. I was thinking Sancho before, but then maybe not. He's not quite been doing it, has he? But I think I can't go to Anthony. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, Sancho or someone like that. But I don't know really. I'll probably have to save some money, go for Bruno. I suppose it would be Rashford and Bruno. I think would just be the ones for me.
I think looking at Brentford, I'm not sure whether I'd be tempted to move on because they play on the Saturday, potentially Raya to De Gea, potentially, because United would have, oh, mind you, I say that, they would have a 3 for 2. There's not masses of extra fixtures there, actually, because Brentford do have a pretty decent stretch of games. He could be one, but I'm not sure. One to think about, and obviously one to chat about before we do the next pod for sure. Yeah, it seems at that point when that Arsenal drop finishes and we start looking at these other teams, there's going to be a massive shift in there. You know, as people start a transition to their teams that are always going to finish the season off. I think because obviously there's not long left after that, is there? We've had masses of questions. Thank you so much. I've taken most of them. I think I took them a couple of hours ago, but let's have a look. Dave Simple Gull asks, with limited double game weeks, when do you anticipate using most of your remaining transfers? Good question. What do you think about that, Dan?
Probably what we just talked about. So do the Arsenal to United on the 2nd of April, something like that. You could. I probably will keep hold of Raya and Tony. I'll probably keep Tony for a bit unless his ban kicks in.
Yeah,
but I don't think it will. I'll probably keep Tony to at least Newcastle, 8th of April.
okay.
Yeah, I'll be going back onto Haaland, I think, for the Southampton game, 9th of April. But yeah, I'll probably do Arsenal to United. I'll keep Dunk in. So yeah, Dunk this week, then Arsenal to United, Haaland back, Rodri back. I think City still win the league. So it depends if they go out in the Champions League if they go out in the Champions League this week, which I don't think they will do. But that would then you think that Noah Pepe should play a sort of a team you think he's going to play. But then I've just been caught out with that. Like I had Cancelo, then he got bombed out on loan, didn't he? Then I was like, Akanji's started so many out of so many games. He's missed one game out of so many. He brought him in and Ake, and then like Diaz and Laporte are in or something like this. And you're like, oh, for God's sake. So then get rid of them two. Then they clean sheet at the weekend, didn't they? And you're like, oh, nice one. So Pep, he cost me like, probably 25 transfers, I should think, on Man City players.
Fantastic. Yeah, I think for me, so I can't remember if I think I got 18 left now maybe, but I can see me using probably 5 or 6 over, after the break now, maybe one before the break potentially, but obviously looking at Dunk as well. But I can see me, I think I've still got like 6 Arsenal players, or maybe 5 actually, but I can see me moving most of them. I'll probably keep Saliba because of his price, may keep Saka, I'm not sure yet, but maybe 5 or 6 after the break, looking at, get Haaland back, maybe get a couple of Brighton players, maybe a couple of Man United players, for example. So that covers off like a week or 2 there. And then after that, then looking towards and Liverpool obviously going a fantastic run. I don't have Salah, so I'll probably look to get Salah back, maybe even someone like Van Dijk, and then Man City, Man United, and Brighton. They go on these. They're going to have a lot of fixtures towards the end of the season, so I'll probably be use my remaining, wherever it would be, kind of 7, 8, or 9, sort of piling in on those players, leaving a couple back then for reserve would be that's obviously a incredibly rough plan. We don't know the single game days and stuff, but sounds reasonable, I think. And Dave also asks, he's sitting around 300 with 16 transfers remaining. What are the high risk, high reward, outlandish moves that I can make that can give me the tiniest chance of a prize? What do you think of that, Dan? What would be like some massive risk he could take?
I'd probably just keep doing the obvious. Do you know what I mean? Because with his transfer count, he wants to get top 100, I presume. But
Well,
I think you'll
he
get there
says
anyway with-
chance of a prize, so I'm thinking
Oh,
he means like top 5. So he's gonna have to do something pretty outlandish.
Oh yeah,
I think.
it's just then to be, I don't know, it's be like yesterday when everyone captained Rashford, you captain Watkins and stuff like that, and just hope something like that lands in. But I can't see. I just don't know. Yeah, there'll be pick players and stuff that do it, but that's hard to say. But yeah, if you want someone who's low owned and captain them and pray that they do something, but I think I'll just play it sensible myself, really. But yeah, I know what it means. He's trying to get something. So yeah, low owned.
Yeah, well, probably an alternative maybe with your remaining 16 is just to try and go all out on some kind of block defenses for teams that go well. You could shift on to 3 players from X team, and I don't mean like Man City or Man United even, but this Brighton run, for example, if you can get on them early and they pile in the clean sheets and pile in the pass, and that'll help you absolutely fly before everyone else jumps on them, for example, and things. That's always the alternative. Ian Parrin says, with yesterday's bandwagons, Trippier 75 and Watkins 32, both working out well, are you surprised by how few Sky managers brought them in? I didn't really look at Watkins, and maybe I was a bit short-sighted with Watkins. He does look good. I think with me, though, I didn't really have the player to take out to put Watkins in, I don't think, because I definitely wanted Trippier because of the captaincy. But he does look really, really good. Yeah, are you surprised how low he was, Watkins, Dan? Did you think it was a really obvious move, or?
Looking like at the fixture grid, yeah, like I said, he had 5 games to Haaland's 1, and I speak to like Luke Williams and that, and he was sort of, if Watkins would get 25 points in 5 games or something like that, and as long as Haaland don't score a hat trick against Liverpool, then it should work out right. But yeah, just the sheer amount of fixtures, he should. But yeah, I'm not surprised too many didn't go for it, because you never know how many transfers people have got in that top 100 and top 1,000, do you? So you think, so what's he been brought into over 30% of the top? But people probably just didn't have the transfers for it and think, well, I'll have to keep Haaland and hope Watkins don't do anything, or I don't know. So yeah, I'm not, like, Trippier went up quite a bit, didn't he? But Watkins, well, I don't know how much. I'd seen it mentioned a few times and thought, yeah, it's a 5-for-1 and stuff like that. But whether people didn't just go for it or didn't see it, I don't know. But no, I don't know Watkins. I've had him in the past and he's let me down and stuff like that. So I'm not surprised people haven't done it.
I think because I personally now, I'm trying to think of my team and why I didn't have that extra player. I think because I moved for Enzo Fernandez earlier, and I've got like Saka, Odegaard. They're not going anywhere yet. 3 Arsenal defenders, Trippier, Kane, obviously not going anywhere yet, and brought in Tony. I'm trying to think of my other player, or is that it? Actually, I think that's it. I think because I brought Enzo in early, if I was transitioning on, I would have probably gone Watkins and then gone on to Enzo, if that makes sense. But I think because I had Enzo, I didn't really have the player to move on. But yeah, and in terms of, he also asks, who do you think the next bandwagon will be? I think Enzo Fernandez definitely is going to be massively, massively owned. They've got really good fixtures. He's just an absolute points machine. Anyone else on your thoughts, Dan, for who's going to be a massive bandwagon soon?
I don't know. Like, as for teams, like we said about the Arsenal to Man U for a 3-for-0, 4-for-1 if you go past the Arsenal Liverpool, like something like that. But I don't know which United assets. Like, I don't know what Bruno's ownership is, but yeah, maybe moving on to him, that could be one. But I think, like I said, I've got the players in. Like, I've got my Trippier and Watkins in. So for me, that'll be it. And I'm not looking too far ahead yet, but that is hard to say. It's just obviously when a team has a 3-for-0, a 3-for-1, 4-for-1, that'll be where people move to.
I think that Lewis Dunk, we mentioned earlier, he's going to be massive soon, obviously, because they just have these amazing fixtures. He got another, I think it was 116 passes on the weekend. And I also think potentially, well, if he stays fit, Maddison has some really good fixtures, really good run of fixtures as well. So I think they're the 3 I'd say. I think Maddison, Enzo Fernandez and Lewis Dunk are definitely 3 I'm looking at over the coming weeks. And then towards the end, as I say, I think much more Brighton players, maybe McAllister, maybe even the midfielders like March and stuff. Webster, I think he started the last 2 or 3 and got passing in them. If Steele keeps his place, the Brighton keeper, he could be a steal. Excuse the pun, Dan, but yeah, think all these will become popular in the coming weeks. Andrew Lee asks, currently ranked 279th with 14 transfers left. Where do you think I could realistically aim to finish? Top 100, he asks.
Yeah, top 100, yeah.
I think so as well. Yeah. Hard to argue there. Darren Slater. Which Arsenal midfielders are hold all season with the three of them so close together on points? Good question.
So what, Martinelli, Saka and Odegaard, I presume he's talking about? The way Arsenal go, I don't know, you could make a case to keep them all the way through, couldn't you? But I suppose, like I said, I haven't got any of them. So obviously the higher owned, if Saka's the highest owned, then you want to sort of keep him in to limit any damage if he does go on. Like I said, Martinelli was low owned. I think he was in 23% or something. I think I saw Sunday. Because when he scored or whatever, and I thought, oh, it's not too bad actually. I didn't drop too many places. But yeah, it's hard to say. It's like, yeah, the ownership of what is it, risk you want to take with it.
I think Odegaard, he's 8.2 million, so he's 1.3 less than Saka. I do think that could play into it. The only thing with Saka, he's on pens and he's on corners and stuff, and which is just mega. You know, as soon as Arsenal get any kind of set piece, you know that Saka's going to be around it. So I think if you can afford it, I personally go for Saka if you can afford it. But I do think if you're struggling to make ends meet, then Odegaard. I think personally, I think Martinelli, once Jesus is back, will revert back to that left hand side, share minutes with Trossard and stuff, and obviously, that'd be my take. FPL Commander has 22 transfers and made 5 in this game week. It seems to pay off bang up to the top 500. Is it time to slow down now once Haaland's replaced with Watkins next game week, and when to make the best gains? We've gone down from 22 to 17. Is it time to slow down now? But I think you've done it at the right time. You know, I think there's kind of times on weekends where you think, do it now, go for it. You know, and it definitely paid off yesterday for a lot, didn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, no, I think that's fine. I say I can't really see if you did the Watkins and Tripp. Like, I don't think there's anything you really do too much now. So now I think get this weekend out the way, and then April just go again. You can do what 2 or 3 a week, can't you? Till the end, then.
Yeah, there's not really any massive gains this week in terms of fixtures. So Southampton play twice now before the international break, as do Palace, as do Brentford. And the reason why we moved in on Brentford last week was because of that. Brighton only play once before the break, and everyone else only plays once. So I would just say, unless if you've got Tony and or Raya, for example, I'd be tempted just to hold off, because I don't, who knows what's going to happen in the break, right? The players will be flying out all over the world. There could be injuries. There could be, there's even rumours. I think, is it Estupiñán for Brighton? He's played in Australia like 3 days before the season comes back on, and before the league starts up again in bits and pieces. So I personally wouldn't be making too many moves this weekend, just because there's this massive element of risk. And if you have taken out Haaland, who's to say Haaland won't get a knock in the break? When you get to see the lineups, which is massively important on that on that first one back. So yeah, just ease off now. If you've used 5, ease off, and then. After that first Saturday back, there'll be plenty of opportunities to make more transfers for sure. Mac PMC, if you've made a mistake with a transfer, you've made it in the wrong team, do you ride it out for 3 or 4 weeks? The player was planned in, or do you waste a transfer, move him out, and get back on track, knowing it could affect future transfers down the line? What a question.
I think I've said before, if I do make a mistake, or normally on bringing the wrong player in, just correct it sort of thing straight away. But you could argue keep the other player in. I don't know. He's saying he's brought in the wrong team. He's brought a player in. Yeah, it's hard to say about knowing the player in it, but yeah, I'd always sort of think, rectify. If I've done something, I think I shouldn't have done that. Get rid. Like, I did bring Ake and I just think now I just need to get rid of them. I shouldn't have brought them in and get them out. Sort of plan to get them out as soon as you can. So yeah, I think rectify the mistake.
Awesome. Just aware that we've probably only got about 10 or 15 minutes left, so I'm just going to ask the questions that will affect everyone. FPL Spartans, is Wednesday the night to move to Brighton if you want them long term? So you already mentioned about moving on to Dunk there, Dan. Yeah,
so I'll do Gabriel to Dunk. When I look at the fixture grid, I don't really gain any. Well, I probably could. Who else is playing? I'll probably I've got Tony. I could captain Tony, but I could captain Dunk against Palace. that'll probably be 1-1 anyway. But he should be on for a 10-pointer, shouldn't he, with the passing? So I could do that. But yeah, when you then look at it, because Arsenal up until the 1st of April, Arsenal play Palace and Leeds, and Brighton play Palace and Brentford. So there's no fixture game on it. But he probably could be the best captain Wednesday night. So yeah, like I'm going to do it, and I'll probably captain him over Tony, to be honest. And yeah, just take the 10 points. Hopefully he's 20, but Palace hadn't had a shot on goal or something in like 4 or 5 games, have they? Something like that.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
I think that was what I saw. Whether that's a right stat or not, but I think that's what I saw on somewhere. Can't think where it was. Wouldn't have been match of the day. So it haven't happened on there, did they? Whether it's on Sky, can't remember now.
Okay,
I'm sure that's a stat. Someone will tell me that's wrong or right.
Colombo took out Haaland for Trippier, which is what I did. Would you swap back on April the 1st to captain Haaland, or swap Tony or an Arsenal defender? So yes, so I think if Haaland starts, I'm going to probably move back on Haaland. But you say you're not, Dan. That's your plan is to go against him.
I'll have to look at the team, right, and see if I could go, because if Trippier keeps a clean sheet against Forest on the Friday, the 17th, then yeah, I don't mind him not playing against Wolves. I could go to Haaland sort of thing if you're worried about the damage. But I want to keep Watkins for a few games yet, so I won't do Watkins back to Haaland. But yeah, I could do Trippier to Haaland just to cover him off and hold rank, sort of thing. Because yeah, like we said, Haaland's still in what 54% of teams. So if he gets a goal or 2 against Liverpool, that is going to hurt.
It's interesting though that his ownership has gone down quite a lot, because he's all of a sudden maybe not as scary from an ownership view. I mean, now pure ownership view, as he was when if you're going against a 95% owned captain and he scores a goal, you're just flying down the ranks. Whereas 54 is not as bad, is it?
No, that ain't too bad. And I don't know how people might sort of think of the Liverpool of old and won't captain against Liverpool. I don't know, probably they will, but you've got Chelsea playing Villa that day as well, aren't you? And Arsenal against Leeds, so there could be other captaincy options as well. So yeah, maybe he's not as much of a threat.
Your stat was right, Dan. So Martin Beasley and a couple of others have said that Palace haven't had a shot on target for 3 games, which is a Premier League record. Wow, so that is interesting.
That'll be 1-1 against Brighton, though. It's always 1-1, isn't it? I remember having like Van Aanholt in games like that, and it's like it's 1-1.
What a blast in the past he is! Absolute swine.
I brought up Zaha for it, and then he didn't play or whatever. And I hate that Palace v Brighton game. It's always a disaster.
Sam Smith, how many transfers would you use over this March period? Bear in mind, when we're talking a game or 2 left, we move into April. If you had above average left in the top 100, maybe Dunk. I was going to say Dunk, but other than that, I can't really see.
I think everything for this like started at the weekend just gone, didn't it? Like the Sunday was the jump on
exactly.
So
yeah, really good point. Really good point. And finally, Sam Arundel, is Salah stick or twist? Would you swap for Matoma or McAllister? So I thought you'd have taken him out, Dan. Only because he doesn't play now until obviously the first game back, which is away to Man City. They're then away to Chelsea in the midweek, and then they're home to Arsenal. Now after that, their run is awesome. They've got the captaincy day on Monday the 17th against Leeds, then they go Forest and stuff. But I'm surprised you hold on to him, I've got to be honest.
Yeah, I think I'll keep him and hope he goes back to the salary he was, because I know I sort of gauge myself against you and Paul. I want to try and get close to you, especially. I don't think Paul's too far gone, but if I've got Salah and you ain't, he can maybe bridge that gap. So I'll keep him just with you in mind.
That's fair. Oh, good. I like it. I like that I have that influence over your decisions, Dan. I like that. I think if I had him now, I think I'd move him on personally, but I can understand people keeping him, especially if you're low on transfers. Like, this is the thing now. I think we're getting to the point of the season where every transfer, not everyone you make, obviously, but a lot of the ones you make, players like Dunk are no-brainers, because you're going to want them all season, and maybe players like Enzo Fernandez, maybe those sorts of players. Watkins has got like six games and stuff, but I'd be a bit nervous about going for anyone who you don't think you'd have for the long term. Matoma, McAllister, look really good options, in all fairness. Good stuff. We did have more questions, but thank you so much for all those who sent them in. Hopefully, we have answered most of them. And Dan, I haven't asked you this for quite a while, but am I able to ask you, Dan, what's upset you this week?
Right. January 22. Nah, what's upset me, right? I love the Twitter. Twitter, that's a mess now, isn't it? That's useless, that Twitter. It's useless. Elon, you have messed that right up. I go on Twitter, I'm all right with that. I've got nearly 5,000 followers, more than the cat for anyone asking.
More than the cat. Apparently it was less last week, we were told. It's more, is it?
No, more.
Oh,
more. And I've got the proof. I'll get the proof. So I've got more followers than him, so I don't care about him. But anyway, I follow like a good 1,000 people or something like that. And I love the Sky Chat. I go on Twitter. I follow like 1,000 people. I see tweets of 3 people. Andy Martin, FPL, don't even care. Do you know what I mean? Don't even know why I follow him. So if I only see tweets from him. Let's talk again. FPL, don't even care. And maybe make Guy Wilcox or something. Do you know what I mean? That's all I see. And like some people, I have to check and think like, is Glenn Roy still on it? Yeah, he's still on it. I just don't see any tweets, or I'll tweet something. And you think, Jesus, that's dry on it. I get no replies. And then you look down, I'm like, oh, there's like about 10 replies here. And people I think I'm just rude and not replying. But I don't get notified. That's because I'm not paid for a blue tick or something. I don't see him. That's a mess. Like Twitter. That's why I say get in the FF, getting our Fantasy Football Hub WhatsApp like chats. I was looking through earlier, like Paul's 5th and he's 13th. David Baxter's 14th. Billy Anderson's 15th. Niall, he's not in them, but mate, he's 26th. You're 27th. Dan Sherwood's 32nd. Jack Edwards, he's 73rd. There's more in there as well that I didn't mention. But then Twitter, he just ruined Twitter, so that's annoying. The match of the day thing, that was what? That's like been headline news when at Lineker for like the last 2 or 3 days. I don't understand it. Like, you can tweet what you want, can't you? Like, I know on here I can't now say something about someone because this is whatever. But if I tweet something, I'm not going to get sacked from Hub, am I? I don't know. That's mad. Cost of living crisis.
I've been waiting for this. The cost of living, Dan. Unbelievable. So, what's going on?
I work in the kitchen and all that, cooking the food for the kids and all that. So I said to my fruit vegetable supplier and all that, I'll have 6 yellow peppers. Oh no, 6 red peppers I wanted or whatever. And he said, oh, and they're not 50p now. They're like £1.50 each. I said, well, I ain't having them then, mate. I'm not paying £1.50 for that. But yeah, well, everything's up like 20, 30p in it, like bag of pasta and rice. And mate, that's mad. The heating, I had the heating on for about an hour, I think, when it was the coldest day. So I got it on my phone. Missus will be at home. I see it click on. I let it go on for 10 minutes so the radiator gets warm. Whack that off. She ain't having that on. And every first of the month now, I go to that gas and electric, take the readings, I write down, we spent £3 more on electricity this month. But I will be like, get these lights off and stuff. Well, I said to you beforehand, I had a heater out in here when we used to do this before, and I checked it. It's like 2,500 watts or something. I'm thinking, Jesus, it's going to cost about £20 to switch that on. I was like, that's why I got my old coat. I can't find it now, but I had my old Parker out. So I'm like, I can't have the heating on. So yeah, the heating, cost of living. And them FPL people would moan like about that Solly March or the Harrison own goal. Oh, that was doing me head in on Saturday. They were an old breed, them FPL lot, ain't they?
Oh, I love it, mate. You've been missed. My goodness me, you've been missed. I can imagine. You look so exasperated when you give your rant. You're just like, what's going on with the world? That
mad. Isn't
it? I think the last one you gave was when you had to. I think it was when you had to queue for petrol. Do you remember that? You had to queue. For like, it was like an hour or so. It was something like an hour or something stupid like that.
Yeah, that was mad. I think I then timed one right and I was driving past one when it was there, but queuing up for petrol, I'm like, I don't understand what's going on. Do you know what I mean? That's just, when they used to ration things, like you could buy 3 tins of chopped tomatoes or something. You're just like, what? I'm just mad, innit? Don't agree with so much stuff in the world. Like, people going on about them. I still hate them e-scooters and stuff. What is going on with them? They're everywhere, aren't they? You just get some idiot, they need not kill you, don't you? Drive past on a thing, and it's like, what is going on? Some chav, like, with his trainers, I don't know, and his socks up to like his shins, nearly killed me on an electric scooter. Nightmare. And electric cars, not really a fan of them. I know you've been ran over by about 3 of them. Just don't hear them coming, do you? They should put a bell on them like they do with a cat on the collar.
Oh, I love it, mate. Superb. Any more, or are we done? You could just go on and on, couldn't you? You could just have your own show.
Mate. Yeah, I could do it for an hour. I might just whack it on. I'd whack it on Twitter. About 5 people would see it nowadays.
Has your I can't remember if it was your window cleaner or your gutter. Was it your window cleaner used to call you Sam?
Yeah,
Have
he
you
calls me
addressed that?
Dan
Yeah,
now.
he doesn't call you
Yeah,
Dan.
yeah, he calls me Dan now. Yeah, and I can't remember when it changed. I think I might have sent you and Paul a screenshot or something. But he'd always put, "All right, Sam, round tomorrow to do the windows." I'm like, "Okay, I'll make sure that none of the wife's knickers are outside or anything like that, because you never know, do you?" And then one day it was just like, "All right, Dan, round tomorrow." I think it's because I pay him bank transfer,
Ah, see.
so maybe it comes up D Cox, or and he must think, "Oh, it's not. Maybe it's not Sam, it's Dan," or whether it comes up Dan. But yeah, he calls me Dan now, so he's all right. And fell out of any neighbours. Nah, no, just cost of living, isn't it, mate? Oh no, like two of my neighbours got hot tubs, just drained them. I said, "What's happening? Too expensive to run." I'm like, "That's a waste of £2,000, isn't it? Sitting there empty."
Have you got the smart meter where it shows you how much you're using as it ticks around and stuff? I don't think I could cope with
No,
that.
and I'll tell you for why.
Go on.
Because you have to plug it in, don't it? It's going to cost you money to run it. I'm not paying. I'm not paying 5p an hour to see how much electricity I'm using. I'll find out once a month.
I'm not.
That's a con, mate.
I'm not paying more to know
Yes,
to know how much I got to pay when it's costing me more.
I,
Oh, what?
yeah, I won't plug it in.
I can't. Do you know
My
what?
kids, like the youngest one, has a nightlight on, so I let him have the nightlight on. He fall asleep half hour later. I switch that off.
Knock it off.
That's saved me 3p an hour overnight.
Good stuff, mate. Good stuff.
Right.
I could never have one of those just constantly worrying, knowing how much you're spending out on things you think you shouldn't be spending out on. Unbelievable.
I think of we don't have a tumble dryer and stuff like that. I think when you said about the meter, that's still game when he's rigged the meter and that's going
Right,
going round. He's like, you can cut diamonds on that sort of thing. It got all the heaters on, didn't they?
I remember that. That was a fantastic episode, wasn't it?
Yeah, there it was with it. Yeah,
Good
I
stuff.
might start watching that again.
Thank you so much, Dan. Let's just quickly look at the leagues, the Four Nations League. Let's just
We ain't got time for this. That's
couple of leagues. Liam 2254 2323. Dan is 5th 2357. Ian Parrin 2394. I'm on 2425. Paul is on 2446. I think that team is now in I want to say 13th place, and his first team is back up to was it 5th? Is it
fifth
back
yeah.
to 5th? On 2468. I think he's got Martinelli, which obviously done him well yesterday, and two nice home games before he moves off as well. So very, 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 very well done, Paul. Good stuff there. And just quickly on the FFH Members League, 10th place Dean Hicks, 9th Dan Sherwood, 8th last year's winner Mark Wisdish, 7th myself, 6th Niall. I'm on the same points as Niall, but he's above me. I don't know how that works. He can't have more transfers than me. He's been burning through them. I'm sure he has. I don't know. 5th, Dale Pointer. 4th, Chris Parry. 3rd, Billy Anderson. 2nd, David Baxter. All these are in like the top 15 or whatever overall. Incredible. And first is Barry Grimes, 2463. I think he's 7th overall. So very, very well played there. Barry. And Jack Edwards in the chat says he's angry because he's missing Love Island. No spoilers, please, in the chat for.
I was fuming with that last night. Did you watch it last night?
I don't watch it, mate. I gotta be honest.
They were doing there was the 15 minutes to go. No one else probably watches, so they don't know. But it's 15 minutes to go, and they're like Maya Jama or whatever come on, say join us at 10 o'clock on After Sun, Love Island After Sun. So watch that as well. And she goes, we'll be joined by tonight's like evictees, Will and Jesse. Like, hang on, they're still doing the dump.
Oh, no way.
So they give it away, and it's like, what's the point of watching the last 15 minutes? And then it was them that got, and I'm like, not happy with that. I was fuming with that as well.
Unbelievable, mate. I bet you furious. Well, with that cost of living and everything else, you must have veins just constantly popping out of your forehead the way you go.
Yeah, so I need this therapy.
So that is it from us for this week. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us, for watching and listening. Your continued support is much appreciated as usual, and thank you so much, Dan. Absolutely amazing to have you back on. Superb stuff. Where can people find you, Dan?
Join the Fantasy Football Hub WhatsApp chats, because Twitter's useless now. Like, you can tweet me on there, but I won't see it because that won't show up unless you paid for a blue tick or whatever. So yeah, I'm on Twitter, Dan Cox FF. I think now Fantasy Football, that stands for, nothing else.
Make sure you heed Dan's advice, mind. If you are watching or listening and you're not in the Fantasy Football Hub chat, you're just missing out. So all these guys, they really know their stuff. Everyone's in it all day. Loads of people in this chat. Loads of people in the top 100 are all in there chatting Sky all day, every day. Get yourself in there. Become a premium member of Fantasy Football Hub.
and we've had them people in there for years, like the ones like Billy and Dave Baxter and stuff like that. Like they've been in there for years, and it's no surprise they're, as high as they are. So yeah, if you've got some money to spare, join it, and join via my link, so I get a little couple of quid as well because I've got bills to pay.
Exactly that. Just turn the heating off and join Fantasy Football Hub. That's the advice for the week, innit? Manchester says, get on MySpace, Dan. That'd be good.
I've never had one of them. I've gone back onto Facebook, have a look on that.
My handle on Twitter is at @FFH_Fergi. If you liked what you watched, please press the like button. Remember to subscribe in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. If you enjoyed your listen, please rate the podcast versions and leave some comments. Thanks again, Dan. Absolutely amazing to have you back on. Definitely wind back to those Sunday nights in lockdown when it was the only thing we had to look forward to all week, wasn't it? It was
apart from Line of Duty.
Line of Duty, yeah. You're right.
That's when our numbers would drop, wouldn't they?
They would. On the final night. Do you remember the final night was one of our final episodes of the season? So
there's about 3 people listening, weren't there? No, it's more than that.
No,
I like to, mate. I'll come back on again. That's get me away from the missus for an hour so she's happy. Everyone's a winner.
Phil Speck has got...
the only one...
you go. Sorry, Dan, go on.
The only one who's not happy is my son because I nicked his headset from his Fortnite, so I can speak to you. I sold my microphone, cost of living.
Phil Speck has got a new tagline for the Hub. Turn off your smart meter and join Fantasy Football Hub. I like that, buddy. We will be back. So Paul and I will be back in 2 weeks now. Obviously, there's an international break. We'll be back in 2 weeks, looking ahead to Sky Game Week 34. Have a great Game Week 33 all, and goodbye for now.